Hey guys, and welcome back to The Controversial Mom. I'm your host, Emily Jones. And I don't know about you, but the past week or so, maybe the past few months actually, there seems to be a lot more infighting within the Republican or conservative movement. So much so that really and truly, that's all I've been thinking about for the past probably 2 weeks. So I really put thought into this, and I swear my personal opinion here is I think this is the Charlie effect. I think Charlie Kirk was an amazing mediator, more so than we really ever truly recognized until now. There's always been some infighting and bickering amongst people, but I always feel like it was managed. And I think Charlie really had a big part in all of that. And now that he's not here, I think we're seeing a lot of kind of fracturing as a result of that. I think people are spiraling and they don't have someone to pull them back into reality and refocus on the things that matter. And I also think that we've lost a huge influence on Trump without Charlie. Charlie was very much connected to the grassroots. Everybody talked about it. He read all the emails you sent him, whether he responded or not. He always said he read them, and that really gave him good insight into what the base was thinking. And because of that, he was able to really influence Trump and keep Trump on point on the things that mattered. And really, in the past 2 months, I think a lot of people are seeing Trump focus on things that don't matter so much to us. And it's really started causing a lot of infighting within the conservative movement. And I'm not just talking about at a state level or a federal level, I'm talking at a state level and really even a local level. I'm personally feeling it here in our area, so I know others are too. But I think that's one of the biggest things with Charlie. I mean, aside from just the influence he had on the everyday person, I never fully appreciated how much influence he had on keeping all of our organizations pulled together and focused on the things that really mattered and helping Trump and his administration stay focused as well. And I think about one of the big things that Charlie had an effect on was more or less the feel that we all went through, we all experienced leading up to the election of 2024. We were all hyper focused on the election. We all knew the stakes. We all knew we had to take a part in ensuring that Trump won because we knew what was going to happen if he didn't. And Charlie really helped all of us to stay focused on that. And not only to stay focused, he helped create opportunities for us to engage and be a part of winning. And I still remember going to Georgia and door knocking for Trump with several of my friends. We made a huge day of it. And even now, like the photos and the memories will pop up on my phone, and we always share them back and forth and talk about the fun things. But we door knocked in our state, not for Trump, but for local candidates that were on the ballot that truly mattered. There was a lot of coming together and working for a common mission. And that was one of the things that Charlie was so good at. He was so good at bringing everyone together into the tent. He was the big tent guy, right? Like we always heard that. He was the big tent guy. He always said that there were more room in the tent for more people. I think about the things leading up to the election, aside from door knocking. We also had all of the Trump rallies, all the people that would stand outside to get into the Trump rallies, all the things that Turning Point did. The rallies where they announced RFK Jr. was going to be a part of the administration and, he endorsed Trump, all these things. Then we fast forward to after the election. Trump wins. We all feel very comfortable in where we're headed as a nation with him. And then he starts signing executive orders. And it's just one after the other. Just every other day, amazing executive orders coming out to undo all the chaos that we had felt under Biden. And it felt amazing. We were all super excited. And I remember getting on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And it was like every day there was a new post of something that Trump had done. And then the title would always say, are you tired of winning yet? And of course the answer was no. We all loved it. We thought it was great. But that happened for one very important reason. And that is because we all came together and we worked on those efforts. And I think about what happened, I guess it was really and truly this past week. So we've all been monitoring, tracking the government shutdown, right? I mean, there were thousands of people that were without their job, without pay, without food. Now, whether or not you agree with like the SNAP benefits and all of that, like the reality is the program was there, and because Congress couldn't get their act together, millions of people didn't get food. It is what it is. I think about that and how difficult Congress made that entire situation for millions of people. And then this past week, for some unknown reason, they decide that they're going to pass legislation that condemns socialism. Well, we all kind of feel the same way. Like, I got it, New York's crazy and all that. But for the most part, Republicans condemn socialism. We don't agree with it at all. It was a waste of time, in my opinion. It accomplishes absolutely nothing. But here's the thing about it that just angers me so much. We couldn't get a budget passed for, 6 weeks, I think it was in total. That was 6 weeks of pain on the American people because they couldn't get their crap together to figure out how to pass a budget. But when they wanted to pass this nothing burger legislation to condemn socialism, they got it done in a handful of days. And it did absolutely nothing. And on top of that, we've got the Epstein files, that whole entire process was completely botched from the very beginning. It went from this like huge media spectacle where influencers are walking out with binders of air quotes information that resulted in nothing. Then you had Pam Bondi coming out and saying there were no real records. There was nothing in there of interest. Trump coming out completely dismissing it. To this huge massive fight between Trump and MTG. And then we finally get, I can't even remember, tens of thousands of documents. Like, where was that in the very beginning? And while I'm not a big Epstein person, like, he was an evil guy, he should have been held accountable. People around him need to be held accountable. It's not my number one focus politically that gets resolved. But the problem here is that we've wasted months of time focused on this, and in the process, you've lost credibility and respect from so many people in the conservative movement because you botched the entire thing. Then this week you had the issue with Butler, PA, in the attempted assassin, where Bongino and Cash came out and basically said, like, hey, we've done our investigation. We've turned over every rock. We've looked in every corner. Like, we've done a thorough investigation, and there's nothing there. This was a lone wolf. Nobody worked with him. It was just this one kid that attempted to shoot the president. You have no credibility at this point, and also I don't think anyone's buying that. I mean, Secret Service was all over the place. People spotted this guy, reported this guy, and you mean to tell me that Secret Service just went, oh, okay, whatever, and turned a blind eye to this lone wolf? Nobody's buying this crap. So, again, more credibility lost with the American people. And the problem is, we're MAGA, you're MAGA, MAGA has the administration, and we're getting nowhere. Fauci, that was another one that's on my list. That was the big thing. We were going to hold Fauci accountable. Nothing's happened to Fauci. I don't even think they've called him in to a hearing again. I know there was talk about it. I don't even think that's happened. And, I mean, there was a long list of people. I can't remember. It's not Project Hurricane, but whatever the project was where they spied on Trump, and now Arctic Frost. Like, all these things about illegal surveillance, and nothing's happening. Like, it's literally the same old, same old. We've just got Trump in the administration area in the White House right now, and we all thought that was going to change things. We all thought Trump was different, and under his second term, he was going to save the country. And we all bought into that, and we did the rallies, and we did the door knocking, we did all the things, and we're right back to where we were, where there's no accountability. Nothing is changing. It's like I've always said, I hated politics because I think Republicans and Democrats are the same. They all lie, cheat, and steal to get what they want. But Trump was always different. But now I question, is Trump really that different? I don't know. I think he is, but the people around him are not. Which leads me into really and truly the point in my conversation today is we have to do better at electing the right people, from the local level to the state level to the federal level. We have to do better in getting people educated, getting people to run for office, and getting people elected to office. And that starts by coalition building. We have to do better as organizations coming together and working on the things that we have in common. Now, I will be the first to say, I really and truly struggle with most people. We all do, because we don't see eye to eye with everybody on everything. Even within our little Moms for Liberty group of like 9 ladies, we don't disagree, or we don't agree on everything. MTG, Israel, those are 2 hot topics within our group, especially back in the summer, where we didn't all agree. But we had the conversations, we would agree to disagree, and we would leave it at that. And then on the things where we did agree with, we came together and we worked hard and we moved the dial on those topics. And that's how our organization works. We fully acknowledge that we're not going to be in full agreement with everybody else. There are going to be certain topics that we agree on, that we disagree on. And in the areas where we agree, we're building those bridges and really working hard to actually have impact on those. I don't see us doing that as a movement very well. In fact, I know we don't, because I hear other people complaining about this outside of just our little region up here in North Alabama. We don't do well on that. And we have to start focusing on that, because if we're going to keep getting the same results out of DC, it's because we keep electing the same people and sending them to DC, or in Montgomery in a lot of cases. We have to learn to do better organizationally, to work together and coalition build where we can. Acknowledge that there's going to be some disagreements on some things, and just don't work with those organizations on that topic. But overall, we've got to find a way to just say, politely agree to disagree. Let's work on moving the dial on topic A, topic B, topic C, whatever it may be. Because until we learn to do that, we're not going to force the change that has to happen in Montgomery and DC. And that's not necessarily the person's fault that's in DC. They're getting elected. That's on us. And if we don't like that person and we keep electing them, that's on us. So we've got to learn to put our differences aside. We've got to be the big tent person that Charlie was. We don't have a Charlie Kirk right now. And I mean, no one's ever going to fill his shoes. But we've got to do our part to keep that mission that he had alive and well. Be the big tent person. Find a way to work with other organizations. It's okay to disagree on certain topics. Have your polite discussion, because that's the other thing that's missing right now. We just want to hurl attacks at everybody and not have a conversation. Have a conversation. Agree to disagree. Focus on the things that matter and how you can work together to actually move the dial and do what's best for our state and our nation. Because right now, we suck at it, and it's showing in DC. And we have just a small amount of time before we get to the midterms. And the midterms are going to be a dadgum bloodbath for us as conservatives. Because moderates, independents are not with Trump right now. And if they're not with Trump, they're not going to vote down ballot, and the rest of us are going to suffer. So we've got to learn, be a big tent person, do what Charlie would do, and start learning how to coalition build in your areas. Because we've got to work together to get better people elected so that we can actually have the impact that so many of us want in our state, in our nation. So do your homework, get to work, find somebody to work with, and coalition build. Thanks for joining, guys. I'll see you next week.